Good morning, folks. We are here at Pinnacle Bank Arena for Nebraska High School Game Day. My name is Jaden Taylor. Alongside me today, we got a group going here today. John Willis alongside with Tyler Reedy. I mean, man, Class A basketball is going to be fun to watch here today.
I mean, yeah, we got a lot of great matchups here in the quarterfinal round. I couldn't be more excited to get here. I think the Class A field is just really competitive this year. There's a lot of teams that I think can make a run at it, and I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be a great day. I mean, you play 3-4 months of the regular season to get to this moment. This is going to be one heck of a day. 4 Class A quarterfinal games. We're going to see some great teams, great players, and some really good finishes as well. This is going to be really fun to watch.
Yeah, of course, a little bit of a different look that we're seeing here for Class A as well as all classes so far in the boys basketball tournament, girls basketball last weekend. But seeing this 5-day tournament, it's a little bit different than what we saw these past couple years.
Yeah, it's just different. It's more spread out. You have more time in between games. It's definitely felt different from our perspective, but, I kind of like it. I like the spread outness. You get a lot of time in between games, and, yeah, it's been fun so far.
Yeah, adds to the hype of the tournament, too. Getting fans back as opposed to last year is a big aspect of it. Having all those time in between the games, you get more of a build-up. And just being in the girls' tournament last week, the environment was incredible. I can't wait to see what it's like this week.
Yeah, talking about environment, I mean, to start off this tournament, we're going to see Millard South going up against Millard North, a huge rivalry game. Of course, Millard South, somewhat of a Cinderella story coming into this tournament. Then our second game, Millard West going up against Lincoln Pius. Pius just barely sneaking in there after losing their district final up against Lincoln East. And Millard West almost lost it on a prayer to Westside to end off their season. Millard West is really starting on the hot foot.
I mean, yeah, Millard West got that big win, and I like this top half. I think there's 4 really good teams. I mean, don't sleep on Millard South. They've been playing their best basketball here at the end of the year, of course, knocking off Westside, then off the regular season, and then they've won 2 straight away district games. So they're gonna put up a good fight, I think, today against Millard North.
Yeah, when you talk about that top half, that Millard North Millard South game, it's a 1-8 matchup. Millard South's 11-11. It's gonna be a blowout, right? Not so fast. Millard South plays a gritty style. They're perfect for playoff intensity, and they're definitely going to bring it today. We talked about the upsets. They only lost to the Mustangs by 11 back when they played in January. In that Pius Millard West game, 4 versus 5, very, very tough to pick a winner out of that one.
So looking at our nightcaps here, I mean, to start it off, Bellevue West going up against Lincoln East. That's another one's going to be a really big game. We've talked about this district final craziness. I mean, Lincoln East, below 500, being able to take down Lincoln Pius in a big match. I mean, those two teams had played 3 times this season, been going back and forth. All of them had been close, and Lincoln East able to get themselves a ticket to the tournament, going up against a really good Bellevue West team that, arguably is better than their state championship team last year. And finally end off the night at 8:30, Creighton Prep going up against Papio South. Papio South, another team that just came out of nowhere. I mean, they started off the season strong up against some big teams, but they really faltered in the month of January. But surprisingly, ever since Denier Dempsey went out, this team has just been a team like no other. Daniel Brocail has been a huge guy. We'll talk about him a little bit more in this show. But, man, I mean, these nightcap games are going to be something fun to watch.
I mean, yeah, I really like the matchup, especially between Creighton Prep and Papio South. Papio South is just on a hot streak right now. I mean, knocking off Central to get here. Daniel Brocail is playing some really good basketball, and I really like how they match up against Creighton Prep. I think that's going to be a great game.
Yeah, and the Bellevue West Lincoln East game, yeah, Bellevue West has been excellent all season. We know that, but Lincoln East, as you said, beating Pius X. They beat them a couple times this season. They've got some big wins, and we'll see if they can bring enough intensity to potentially make it close or knock off the Thunderbirds. And then Prep Papio South, that's definitely the quarterfinal I'm most excited for.
So now let's look at, kind of breaking down these games to start it off with today. I mean, we start off with the 1:30 matchup of Millard South going up against Millard North. I mean, Millard South was not a team I think really anybody thought would be able to get here the way they have. I mean, if you want to talk about a team they've kind of looked to me a little bit like, they looked like Pius last year. A team that just was very gritty, doesn't have a lot of height, but it just really works well at the rim and forces a lot of bad shots on defense. So going into this game, John, I mean, we're seeing Millard North, a Millard North team that has just been so dominant this season, but has faltered up against some big teams when they might think that they're able to take them down. What can Millard South do to make this one interesting?
I mean, they just got to play their game. They got to slow the game down. They can't let, Hunter Salas and St. Thomas get out in transition. And, they played really good defense on this run that they've been on. And they're playing their best basketball at the time you need to be playing your best basketball. And I think that's the key for Millard South. They spread the ball around really well on offense. I know talking to Blake Stanger, he talked about how, we may seem like a defensive team, but we want to get more going on offense. And I really like what Millard South is doing because they're playing their best when they need to.
Yeah, it's interesting with Millard South. It's not like you can just sit there and say, oh, they need to make their three-pointers, they need to make their free throws, because they're not going to be able to do that. This team's not glamorous at all. They've struggled in the basement of Class A in several categories of shooting. I think they're 4th worst in Class A for three-point percentage, 6th worst for free throw percentage. So they're going to have to play a gritty game. They're going to have to play an intense game. They've got to keep up with the speed of the Mustangs. Got to defend well as well. Put a lot of pressure on Millard North. They can struggle often against defensive pressure. So we'll see if Millard South can pull it off.
So looking at the Millard North side of the ball, I mean, St. Thomas has had a big year. Hunter South continues to just show off, number 7 ranked player in the country. I mean, this team really had a big chance, was easily the favorite last year. Bellevue West was able to come back in a huge championship game last year and just make something out of it and ended up winning that game. What does this Millard North team have to do to move on, continue through this tournament, and show why they're the top team in the state?
I mean, they just got to do what they do best, and that's, force turnovers, get buckets in transition. I know they've shot the three pretty well this year, and, I mean, Hunter South and St. Thomas just got to do what they do. I mean, you know that they're going to have big games, especially in the state tournament. But I'd like to see maybe some other role players get involved for the Mustangs, especially if they get up against those higher teams like maybe a Bellevue West or a Creighton Prep in the state final. They're going to need some more role players like Jaden Johnson or Tyler Sandoval to step up in those big games, because you already know that Hunter and Saint are going to perform like they usually do.
Yeah, it can't just be a 1 or 2 man show with Millard North for this tournament. Other guys have got to step up. They're going to have a pretty good height advantage over just about any team they go up against, with guys like Jason Green, Tyler Sandoval, St. Thomas running the show in the paint. So if they can get those guys going with some offensive rebounds, some putbacks, and then all 5 of those guys, they can shoot the three-pointer ball as well. So if they can just get going, have a versatile attack, that makes it really tough to defend, especially for a team like Millard South. It's going to have a pretty good height disadvantage. And Millard North's going to be hungry as well. They want redemption badly after what happened last year.
Yeah, so looking at this past weekend, I know we talked to a lot of players going into this game. I talked to Millard South's assistant coach Tim Locum just really about what they want to do in this game. They have a game plan. They want to keep it set, and they want to make this an upset, for the memory books. And for a lot of guys, for this team, I mean, this is just a game they're happy to be able to be here in the first place, but that's not what they want. They want to make this game interesting. They want to make this one a competitive force. I mean, it was a competitive force in the first game these two teams had.
I mean, yeah, it was a 62-51 win, which, I mean, against Millard North, that's pretty good. Millard North is used to blowing the doors off of people, especially maybe a team like Millard South, but they played their kind of game. Millard North was able to pull away there in the fourth quarter, but they were able to keep it close. They had that first game. They have that experience. They know what they need to do differently, and I think they have a great game plan. I really think that they're going to be ready to play against the Mustangs tonight.
Yeah, looking back to that last game, I think Millard South needs to get off to a fast start. Not necessarily scoring-wise. They need to limit the Mustangs' opportunities offensively and then turn those free opportunities on the other end into points, because what happened in that first game back on January 22nd, Millard North got off to a pretty good lead in the first, second quarter, and the game kind of had that vibe where it was Millard South keeping it kind of close, but Millard North's going to win. They've got control of the game. So if Millard South can get out ahead, play some good defense early on, and stay out of that vibe, I think they'll be in a good position to keep it close, maybe even pull it off.
So I know you, John, talked with Stanger earlier this week just about his preparation for this game. Let's get into that interview now.
All right, I'm now joined by Blake Stanger from Millard South here, getting ready for state basketball. Blake, Sunday night coming up here on Tuesday. You guys will face Millard North. Just how you feeling right now headed into state, and how you feeling about the team?
Right now, us as a team and individually, we got a lot of confidence, and we're playing really good basketball right now, just playing together as a team and just hoping for the best, really just going to go out and compete. So it's going to be fun.
So talking about the district final there against Papio, low scoring game, you make the game-winning shot to send your team to state. Pretty tough shot too. Just how did that one feel, and what was going through your head?
We wanted this all year. Yeah, that's our goal, to go to PBA and play at PBA. So it was a blessing, really. It was awesome. Me and my teammates, it was fun to celebrate in the locker room and after the game, and just to hit the game-winning shot just kind of meant more to me, and it felt amazing.
Yeah, for sure. So it seems like you said that you guys are playing like your best basketball here at the end of this season. You guys beat Westside to end the regular season, and now you won 2 away games to get to state. So
Yeah.
what changed within the team just to get you on this run that you guys have been on?
It's really just a group of guys coming together and playing as a unit. We just all love each other, want the best for not just individually. It's not me ball, it's us. So not just one person succeeds, it's all of us. It's been really fun playing together and just winning, really.
Yeah, for sure. So it was another low-scoring affair, like I mentioned a little earlier, between Papia. So it was like, is that kind of like how you guys like to play? Is that what coaches emphasized during off season, getting ready for this season, was just play really good defense?
Yeah, we preach on defense a lot. Coach preaches on defense a lot, and that's what we're really good at. We can, all 5 of us can guard, but we like to score the ball as well too. Some people say about this low-scoring game, but we try to get the best shot every possession, and that's what helps us win.
So you now move on to state. You play Millard North, a Millard game. So just what have preparations so far been like? You're getting near the game. Just what have preparations been like this week for you?
They're a talented group. They're obviously, they got some hype around them and all that good stuff, but we're ready for it, and it's gonna be a fun game. It's gonna be a fun one. We played them closer earlier in the year, which was good, but we think we can turn things around and hope for a W.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, you guys were right in it with them in that first matchup that you guys had. So I'm sure you guys are like going in with the confidence that like, hey, we could really pull this thing off this time around. Especially you've seen them once, now you can prepare. So just like, how confident is the team feeling about that matchup with Millard North?
We're really confident. I mean, just all of us, all 14 guys of us, we're really confident. We're playing the best basketball right now, and we clicked at the right time. So it's really fun, and we really think we can do it. And when you believe, it's good stuff.
So what as a team would you say that you guys are going to have to do to not only take down North, but to get your ultimate goal of getting a state title?
Yeah. We're going to have to make a lot of shots. It's tough saying that. It's easier said than done. Millard start off, we got to go game by game, really. The first game's Millard North, so we got a tough challenge as a number 1 seed. They're the most talented group in the state. They're tough to handle, but we think we got a good game plan going on, and just never know.
So talking about like the talent in Class A this year, it just seems like, and I've heard from local media outlets that like this might be the best Nebraska high school basketball has ever been. So just what can you say this year about the level of competition going on in this tournament and in Class A in general?
Yeah, I mean, really, basketball in Nebraska gets better every single year, and I think that can be said for every sport. So really, it's awesome to play against competitors and competition. It just gets better every year in Nebraska, and it's fun to play against such talented people like Hunter and Saint and Chucky and all them. It's fun to play against them.
Yeah, for sure. So last question for you, Blake. Just, you get to go down to Lincoln, you get to play at Pinnacle Bank Arena. Just what makes you most excited about this opportunity that you guys have coming up?
Just walking in and playing at PBA and playing at Nebraska is going to be a blessing. As a kid, you always grow up and you come to these state games and you're like, man, I want to play here someday. And we, as a team, just kind of made it a goal of ours, and we accomplished it. So it was fun.
All right, awesome, Blake. Well, that's all I got for you. I'd like to thank you for hopping on, and best of luck Tuesday against Millard North.
So, yeah, Blake Stanger and this Millard South team just really motivated to get in and get a big win. Of course, you don't see those guys on Millard South putting up those big stats like you might see with Millard North, but they just play a really tough kind of game, and it was great getting to sit down with Blake Stanger and just hear what he had to say and hear how motivated this team is.
Yeah, and he had that big layup at the end of the Papillion-La Vista win in the district final. That was an incredible shot on his part. So anybody on that Millard South offense, as you said, can score. They don't do a ton of scoring, but they can certainly get the job done. They can step up, especially late in games. They've been closing games out really well in these 3 upsets they've had.
Yeah, and I think in a really big aspect like that, Lincoln Northeast game was a team like Lincoln Northeast was kind of surprising that we even saw 14-6 coming into that game. I don't think anybody expected that. A 2 seed coming into that game. And Millard West, Millard South controlled the tempo in that game and was really able to finish out well, especially these last few games. Have been doing such a great job sticking to their tempo, sticking to the game that they want to play, and then pushing forward that throughout the entirety of the ballgame.
Well, yeah, and that's the key for the state tournament. You got to know how to close out games, and that's why I think Millard South really has a chance here. Like, if they can play a perfect game, they can get good shots up, take their time on offense, slow the pace down, then I think Millard South puts themselves in a really good position up against Millard North.
Yeah, and one more point on closing games out. That's one of the questions a lot of people have been asking about Millard North. We saw what happened blowing the 62-48 lead in the state final last year against Bellevue West, giving up 16 unanswered in the 4th. And then that Creighton Prep game, the loss back on February 18th. Millard North led by as much as 11 late in the 3rd quarter, early in the 4th quarter, but Prep was able to battle their way back. Millard North just looked really, really uncomfortable trying to run clock on offense. So if Millard South can get this game close, could be very interesting down the stretch.
So looking at our 4-5 game this afternoon, Millard West going up against Lincoln Pius. Pius, a team that I feel has been a little bit overrated this season.
I mean, yeah, their schedule definitely kind of shows that. I mean, the times that they have played against top teams, I mean, losing 82-65 against Bellevue West, they lost 66-60 against Lincoln East, and then, of course, they lost in overtime in the district final to Lincoln East once again. And, just their schedule would say that. I think these two teams are pretty similar in their styles of play, just in the fact that they don't go super fast on offense. They average about the same amount of points per game. And I think these two teams match up well, but, I mean, definitely their schedule has shown that, they haven't had a lot of opportunities against these top teams, but they have an opportunity here today against a really solid Millard West team.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game. As you said, these two teams are an excellent matchup. And Pius the 10th, they can't have anything to do about their schedule. They haven't played a lot of top 10 teams. They've lost twice to Lincoln East, who I guess is in the top 10 at this point, being in the state tournament at number 7. And then the big loss to Bellevue West as well. They've got a chance to make a point about, hey, we belong in this thing. But Millard West, they've seen all kinds of top 10s, with most of them being in Omaha this year, and they've performed quite well against them. So it's going to be interesting to see how these two teams go against each other.
So the main guy to watch here, for this Lincoln Pius team is of course, Sam Hoiberg. The Hoiberg twins, coming after 2 years, coming into this program, have been just taking over this program these last 2 years. Both barely shorter stature, but, they've used their physical ability, their physical mentality, especially in the paint, to be able to find a lot of open shots. This is not a team that's going to have a lot of open threes. They're not a team that's going to be able to, work around the perimeter and look for wide open shots around the arc. They're really going to work well in the paint. They're going to be able to kick it out for open opportunities, and they're going to look for the best shot they possibly can. I think both these teams are comparatively slower tempo. Their front court style of offenses, they want to slow it down. They want to find their pace, and they want to find good shots.
Well, I like you said, the Hoiberg twins, or not twins, but brothers, have been just really solid together, combining for 25 points per game. And I like how they move the ball, because it's very similar to Millard West, and that's why I think how these two teams match up is very well. I think they both play pretty well on defense as well. I think they both emphasize defense. And so I could see this being a pretty low-scoring game comparatively, pretty close down to the wire.
Yeah, looking at the Hoiberg twins, not only do they score the ball well, both over 10 points per game, Sam Hoiberg leads the team in both assists per game and steals per game with 3.8 and 2.0 respectively. And then Charlie Hoiberg, 1.8 assists per game, 1.9 steals per game. They're both excellent defenders, have great court vision. As you said, they use their physicality well, especially on that defensive end. And then another guy to talk about, Sam Hastreiter, a 6'5" junior. Everybody talks about the Hoiberg twins, but he's averaging 9.5 points per game and 5.2 rebounds per game to lead the team as well. So Lincoln Pius X definitely has some good players to watch, but Millard West on the other side is excellence as well.
So I think adding on to that kind of physical nature that this Lincoln Pius team has, they've been so good from the charity strike. I mean, Hoiberg's been 83% from the charity strike this season. The entire team has really lived and died by that shot because they want to be able to force themselves, maybe force fouls. If they can't get a good shot, they want to be able to get themselves to the line, and they've been able to capitalize on those opportunities. And especially in big games like this, to where it might come down to those last few free throws, I think comparatively between these two teams, I mean, Millard West has really struggled this season from the charity strike. We saw that up against the West Side game both times this season. And, I mean, Pius has just been the exact opposite. They've been working really well from the charity strike, and I think that's going to be a big thing coming into the fourth quarter in this one.
Well, yeah, all year I've always said that free throws can decide a game. You know, you got to shoot well from the free throw line if you want to put yourself in a good position to win. And like you said with Millard West, you know, especially Dominic he's had some instances where he's had opportunities to kind of close out games. We saw he had a one-on-one opportunity against Westside to go up by 3, misses the first one, and gives him an opportunity to win the game. Unfortunately for Westside, just missed that final shot. But, you know, you can see how that can really hurt a team. And Millard West needs to make sure that they're knocking down those free throws. I know Coach Morrison stresses that so much in practice, and I think that could give a big advantage to Lincoln Pius in this one.
Yeah, Millard West has gotten locked into a lot of close, low-scoring games this year. They had the 42-40 loss to number 3 Creighton Prep early in the season, and then lost to Westside. That was, 55-54. That was a close one as well, fairly low scoring. But when points are at a premium, which they likely will be today with this being a mostly defensive matchup, free throws are going to be key, especially down the stretch. You've got to hit those shots when they're available to you.
So now that interview we had earlier yesterday, I mean, able to talk to Hoiberg, John, I mean, a really good opportunity for that one. I mean, Hoiberg just worked so well for this team. Just is really, fit in well with the coaching staff that Lincoln Pius has put together. Let's get into the interview with him.
All right, I am now joined by Sam Hoiberg, senior at Lincoln Pius, getting ready for the state tournament coming up this week. Sam, how are you doing on this Friday before state week?
I'm doing good. Can't wait to get out there next week.
Yeah, I'm sure you're really looking forward to it. So let's go ahead and start getting into it. Of course, a tough loss for you guys on Monday against Lincoln East, but you're still here. You're still going to be in the state tournament. So just what's the mentality of the team coming off that loss and now still getting a chance to play in Lincoln?
Yeah, no, we can't let that game make us lose too much confidence. East just has a really good game plan against us. We really struggle against them. If you look at our schedule, we only have losses against 2 teams. That's East and Bell West. So we're trying not to let it hurt our confidence too much and go into this next week still with a bunch of confidence, and so we can play as good as we can.
Yeah, so Lincoln East, you guys have faced them now 3 times, and each game was pretty close.
Yeah,
all those times. So just what do they do so well that's giving you guys some issues this year?
They have some really good guard defenders who guard us well, and they muck up the game. I think at times when the game slows down, we can get a little bit just messed up and don't play our normal pace, which can be a little bit it screws us up just a little bit. That's what I'd say. But, they have a really good game plan versus us. The coach knows this really well. So they just always put up a good fight against us.
So, I mean, now you've had some days after that game. I'm sure you guys have been getting ready now for Millard West. So just how have the preparations been like so far this week? What have you guys been doing to get ready?
Yeah, we've had some of our guys that aren't in the varsity roster. They've been playing scout team all week, just playing Millard West, running some plays. So we're getting a good look at those. And we're going to watch some film on them this weekend just to prepare and see what they're up to.
So you've obviously been one of the stars on your team this year, averaging a lot of points per game. So just what do you think has been your key to success this year in your senior year?
Well, it's all my teammates. We know that in our offense, if we share the ball, we can get the ball back. I don't ever try to go out there and try to give a bunch of shots for myself. I always try to play within the system. And that goes for all of our guys. We move the ball well. We get lots of assists on our buckets, and it really is on them. They help me get my buckets.
So now you guys are facing a pretty good team in Millard West in the 4 and 5 games. So just, starting to look at them, what have you seen from them that looks like it might be hard to stop? And what do you think you guys are going to have to do to take down the Wildcats?
They got some really good athletes, and then they got that Larson, who's a very good shooter. We know we're going to have to stop that. And we just got to go in with a good game plan, stop them from getting a lot of rebounds. They're very physical, so we just got to up our physicality to play against them, and then go with the scout and just stop up where they're at their strengths.
So I don't know if you guys have talked about this as much, but one of their leading scorer, Evan Meyersick, had been out for both district games, but it looks like, don't know for sure, but it looks like they're going to be getting him back. So just have you guys talked about that at all, and how are you guys preparing for him?
I've known about it. I talked to coach about it a little bit, but he hasn't really brought it up to the team. We're preparing like he's going to play. We know he's a big player for them, and we're not going to treat it any differently than if he's not playing.
So just what do you think the team as a whole has to do together to, get the win against the Wildcats and advance to the second round?
We just got to play within ourselves. I think at times in big games we get really sped up, get some turnovers early, and lose our focus a little bit. But we just got to stay focused, do our thing, and I think we got a good chance to win.
Yeah, so of course you're going up against, I feel like all of Class A, there's just a lot of talent going around. And, we saw a couple of upsets on Monday night with, Millard West. And of course the Central one was a pretty big one. So just what can you speak about the amount of just the level of competition this year in Class A?
Yeah, it's great. I came from Illinois, which is obviously just a hotbed for talent in high school with the Chicago area. I didn't expect the talent to be as good as it is in Nebraska. It's been a very good surprise, playing against top talent, especially this year. So many good teams, those top 3 teams are all top 25 in the country, right around there. It's just a lot of fun being challenged in every single game. And, there's a lot of good things about Nebraska basketball this year.
So what do you think, or not what do you think, but what are your goals personally headed into the state tournament? Is there a specific point total you want to get to? Just what are your goals for headed into the state tournament?
Only goal is to win, just move on. I don't care about any of those individual stats. As long as our team win, I'll be happy.
Yeah, for sure. And then last question. I'm sure you're really looking forward to get the opportunity to play at Pinnacle Bank Arena, down in Lincoln. So just what are you most excited for just getting to play down there with your team and compete for a chance at the state title?
Ever since I heard that the state tournament is played there, it's been my goal to make it. Last year we started out 11-0. We thought we were going to make it, and we ended up really struggling towards the end and didn't have that chance. So this year, just being able to play there, I want to go out there and just do my best. I'm really excited to see what it feels like to play in an arena like that, and just really exciting for the experience.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on here for a few minutes with me, Sam, and I wish you the best of luck against Millard West on Tuesday.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Yep. See you.
So, yeah, obviously, great time getting to talk to Sam Hoiberg. They are feeling good about this team. Even after that tough loss against Lincoln East in the district final, they still feel like they're one of the top teams in Class A, and they're going to have a chance to prove it against Millard West here this afternoon.
Yeah, it's going to be an excellent game. 4 versus 5, you expect it to be a close one. And these two teams, as you said, play a very similar style of play. They can both play some great defense. So there's going to be a lot of intensity, obviously, with the state quarterfinal. Going to have some good student sections as well, especially from Pius. They brought out a lot of guys for their girls. So it's going to be all kinds of great excitement, intensity in the environment. It's going to be a really good game.
So looking on the other side of that one, Millard West is a team, that a lot of guys thought would be able to get that 8 seed if needed. It would really mix it around those 7-8 spots. Able to jump up to the 5 after the really big win up against Westside in that district final. And the guy that's really going to be big here tonight is going to be Evan Myersik. Out in the district semis and finals. He's back here tonight. His presence this season has just been huge for this team. What can he continue to do?
Well, he's been just so dominant on both the glass and scoring. Inside the paint, he's made some fantastic plays for the Wildcats this year. But, the Wildcats have so many guys, I think, that can just, they won't score 20 every game, but they have multiple guys that could do that. Ryan Larson, three-point shooting master. He broke the school record for threes in a game with 8. Dominic Hum, we've seen him be able to take over games. He made some big shots in that West Side game to close it out for the Wildcats. And then, of course, Dustin Hatch can get buckets. James Conway, he had a double-double in that game. They just have so many guys that can score, and now they're getting their best scorer back. I think that makes this team a really dangerous one.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at the stats, 4 guys from Millard West between 10 and 14 points per game. So it's a really nice team game that the Wildcats play. It's not like you've got a bunch of guys up at 19 or 16 and then 7. Millard West is consistent. They've got good scores. And, hey, if you can go on the road and beat Westside in a district final without Evan Myersik, I can't wait to see what they can do when they get him back.
I know we were talking about in that game. Both of us were doing that game. Great matchup on both sides.
Oh, yeah.
The thing I thought we saw a little bit too much from Millard West was a little bit of sloppiness. Not quite as being able to work well to their tempo. Westside was able to work well defensively to be able to work that quick tempo that they wanted. And Millard West, really both sides was never able to find their footing and be able to get good shots. But the guy, I mean, we were talking about so much in that game. I love James Conway. I love the way this guy plays. He's so physical in the paint. He forces so many shots. And with defenses that aren't able to be physical and aren't able to get in front of a linebacker like that coming straight through the lane, then you're going to have a rough night up against James Conway. He had talk about that double-double up against Westside. He's been doing that all season to where he's just been that guy in the paint. Especially with Myersick out, I think it allowed him to have a lot more opportunities in the paint where Myersick, would have been the main guy trying to get stuff off the glass.
I mean, yeah, Conway, committed to play football. I mean, he like you said, he's just so strong, so physical, and that's what makes him so good. He can score points, and I think over the year this year, especially as he's gotten more opportunities, he's done a great job with those opportunities scoring. I mean, he's always been good getting rebounds, being strong in the paint. But like you said, with Evan Myersick out, he's gotten more opportunities, and now with them working together in that starting five, it's going to be a really dangerous combo in the paint for the Wildcats.
Yeah, Millard West, Conway, he's one of several guys that can score, and they can score efficiently as well. Conway, a 40% three-point shooter. That leads the starters. Ryan Larson, who averages 12.6 a game, haven't really talked about him yet. He stands at only 5'10", but he plays much bigger than his size suggests. 39% three-point shooter, 86% free throw shooter. So Millard West has some guys that can score. They can do really well both from the inside and outside. As you said, they move the ball around nicely, and they're definitely going to bring playoff intensity.
Yeah, and then looking at Myersick, I mean, he's been just such a leader for this team this season all around. I mean, he's committed to Nebraska for football. He's worked really well in the paint. We talk about that a lot. Now, John, you had an interview with him. He really wants to see what this team can do, and he really has high hopes for this team, even though he was out for those couple of weeks. I think this team is going to really need some big matchup in the first game to be able to possibly move them on to the semifinals and see what they can do from there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Myersick works back into the starting five. He kind of talked about that, how he was a little nervous to see how it all worked together, but he said he's feeling good, he's feeling confident, his body feels good, didn't really have any symptoms, and he feels good, and it's just a matter of getting the team to gel together again. But I think they will. I think Myersick just adds another threat for the Wildcats, and I think they're going to be hard to stop.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear what he has to say. Myersick's such a great team player. We all know what he can do with the basketball in his hands. He's a great football player as well, but just playing for the team, you saw even as he was out, he was actively supporting the guys on Twitter and all of that. And Evan Myersick's presence today is going to be a big part of Millard West's attack.
So let's get into that interview with Myersick. I know he had a lot to say about his team overall and what he expects for the state tournament.
All right, I'm now joined by Evan Myersick from Millard West. Evan, night before the state tournament, how are you feeling? What's the feel around the team right now and all that?
I'm feeling good, and I think the team, we're just glad to be back and healthy, with me being out last week. And we're amped up because, we've waited 4 years. I think, this is the second time maybe that since the coaches have been here that we're going to state. And we definitely got a good, draw for our first round is Pius. They're a good team, and they've had an interesting year too. And I think that the way we've been playing, and we have the pieces to hopefully get a win tomorrow.
Yeah, for sure. So talking about that district final, of course, you were out for that one, but just what was it like for you getting to watch your team, still be able to get that win?
Well, it was very nice, and at least a little bit with what happened with me is I decided to skip practice on Tuesday before I got quarantined, and thankfully I did that because that still allowed the team to play. If I went to practice, we wouldn't have been playing. So, had to stretch the truth a little bit with the coaches to skip practice, but thankfully I did. But it was nice to see them, go out and still be able to win, I know that I help a lot, the team, but it's nice to see some of them step up. And it was a close game, and neither team played perfect, but I think it was a good moment for us to know that no matter what really happens for the team, we can get through almost anything. And I think that was a good way to go before the state tournament, because we've never been there and it's a different atmosphere, but at least we've had to fight some adversity with me being out. So I think we should be good to go.
So yeah, of course, it'll be your first time playing in a game, at least since February 20th. So just how are you personally feeling health wise? And do you think you'll be, 100% what you usually are tomorrow against Pius?
Yeah, well, with COVID, I never developed any symptoms. So I've been at 3 days of practice now, and the coaches have gotten after me to make sure I'm decently in shape because the court at Pinnacle is a little longer than ours. But I mean, and I stayed in shape during my quarantine to hope, I knew we won. So, I mean, I think we should be good. And I feel perfectly fine. I'm healthy, had a nice break, so the body's feeling good. So I'll be 100% tomorrow.
So, yeah, now talking about the state tournament, you guys play Pius, they lost their district final game, but are still here. So just what have you seen from Pius? As you guys have prepared for them, and what did they do really well?
Well, I'd say, they're a good team. They have a lot of size, but I think a lot of their kids probably their whole team's above 6 foot. Some of their bigs are I think one of them's around Trace's size, and their 2 guards are the Hoiberg twins. Very, very good. They're both shooters, and Sam's a little bit more of a driver than his brother. And so it'll be an interesting game because their girl, and like what Morrison said, is their girls team just won the girls state championship. So he said their coaches would definitely be saying that they could go do it too. So they have that writing going for them too. So I think we match up well. They might have us a little bit in size, but I think with the weapons we have on our team, we should be pretty good.
So, of course, you guys have done such a good job at spreading the ball around this year. I know in that district final, Dom had 15, James Conway had 14, and then Dustin added 11. So, do you think that's going to be the key for you guys again to take down Pius, or what do you think you guys are going to have to do just to grab that win?
I agree with you. I think that, I know our goal the whole season is none of us really care if we score 20 points every game. It's some games I'll score 20, Dom will, or the next game Dom will score 20, or the next game Ryan will score 20, or James. And so it's the thing I love to see is on the scoreboard at the end of the game is seeing all 5 starters have almost 10 points, if not 10 points. Because we all want to see each other succeed, but I don't think that we're gonna strictly focus on that. If Ryan's gets hot, I think we're gonna try and get him the ball, and if he scores 30, so be it. He scores 30 and we win. So I think we're gonna play team ball like we normally do. But if someone gets hot, we're gonna try and find the hot hand and feed them. And hopefully that opens up the rest of us. Then it'll be even scoring again. So
Meyersick, obviously a huge part of this Millard West team, and I know the guys for the Wildcats are very excited to be getting him back. He just adds so much for this Millard West team, and of course with that team ball mentality for Millard West, they're going to be hard to stop, especially getting their leading scorer back.
Yeah, absolutely. And one more interesting thing to note with these 2 teams, neither of them have won a Class A state championship. Pius X has won a bunch of them, I think 7 in a bunch of other classes, but being fairly new to Class A, I think they just joined a couple of years ago, still in the hunt for their first Class A championship. And then Millard West hasn't won a Class A championship at all. They've made the tournament 6 times now, but they're still looking for the first one, so that just adds the intensity of this matchup.
And I think for, looking at Evan Meyersick, I don't really see it going to be a problem for him to get back into the scheme of things. To start off this season, 11 straight games with double-digit points and at least 5+ rebounds. All 11 games to start off this season, especially, with the season that's been somewhat different with COVID and everything and preparation-wise. For a guy to start off like that, I have a really confident idea that he'll be able to start off strong in this matchup. But, this game is going to be really about who's able to work their tempo better, be able to find open shots. And I think the guy we're not talking about too much, and we talked about him a little bit earlier, Ryan Larson is going to be a guy we're really going to see a lot in this ball game, being able to find open threes. Because it's going to be hard for Pius to be able to find open threes and answer back. So if Larson can have a hot night, I think Millard West will start off really well.
Well, yeah, I know Meyersick said in that interview he wouldn't complain if Ryan Larson dropped 30 tonight, knocked down a bunch of threes, but Larson is just, when he shoots a 3 and it's open, you expect him to make it. He's one of those guys, and I think that makes that Millard West offense, because you think of Millard West's offense and you think, James Conway, Evan Meyersick, they're really strong in the paint. Well, they got some shooters too. I know Dominic Hum has gotten better throughout the season, and Ryan Larson, he's been known from when he started at Millard West for his 3-point shooting, and I expect him, if he gets those open shots, he's going to knock them down.
Yep, it's going to be a really nice semifinal matchup. Could have the potential to come down right to the wire.
So looking at this, these nightcap matchups, we're going to start it off with Lincoln East going up against Bellevue West. This one's going to be A game I think Bellevue West is going to have in the bag somewhat early, especially for them. I mean, Lincoln East has really struggled up against top 10s this season, but they're able to get a really good draw in that district tournament, able to get a big win to start it off, and then able to take down Lincoln Pius, a team they've seen already twice this season. But Bellevue West, I mean, this team, a returning state champion, brings back essentially majority of their team. And talking with Chucky Hepburn, I mean, he feels this is the best team he's ever played with.
I mean, yeah, defending state champs, and you got most of your guys back this year in their senior season. They're going to be really motivated to go out on top. I mean, it's just going to be hard for anyone to stop this Bellevue West team, especially Lincoln East. Lincoln East, not the best season, but like you said, got that good draw in districts. They were able to take down Pius. So I mean, I would think they'd have to play like an absolute perfect game to beat Bellevue West, because Bellevue West is just so good offensively. They've put up a lot of points, but they're not necessarily a fast-paced team. They like to take their time and find those nice shots. And just with the amount of talent they have, and Chucky Hepburn being one of the best players in Nebraska, this team is going to be hard to slow down.
Yeah, I've gotten the chance to see a few Bellevue West games this year, and they're definitely one of my favorite teams to watch in the state. They've got so many guys that can produce, so many guys that can grab rebounds. We all know what Chucky Hepburn can do with assists and steals. He's had a triple-double this year, and then double-double after double-double. Frankie Fiddler can shoot threes. He can grab rebounds as well. Josiah Dotzler, just a sophomore. He's a brilliant three-point shooter. And they play such a great team game. They have such chemistry as a team, obviously going to state and winning it all with a big comeback last year. They play such a great team game. They know how to drive in, kick it out, make extra passes to set up open looks and easy layups for guys.
So we're going to take a quick break here on Nebraska High School Game Day, get more into those nightcap matchups, talk with Chucky Hepburn in that one, as well as Carter Glenn. We got a great game of Class A action here today. We'll be back. Back here in Nebraska High School game day, still talking about these Class A matchups. A really good start of the day that we're going to have, of course. Millard North going up against Millard South, Lincoln Pius going up against Millard West. Now looking at the nightcaps, Bellevue West going up against Lincoln East. So let's start off with a little bit of Bellevue West. I mean, they've been so dominant this season, returning state champions after a remarkable Class A state championship game last year. Hopefully, get the same this year. Before this Millard West team, for this Bellevue West team, we talk about Chucky Hepburn, we talk about Frankie Fiddler. Who else off the bench is going to be able to make something out of this?
I mean, I think Greg Brown is a player that could be big for Bellevue West as well. I mean, averaging 8 points per game, a little over 3 rebounds and 3 assists. He's another one of those guys that can just get buckets because, I mean, they're going to try to guard Chucky Hepburn and Frankie Fiddler, make sure they can't get open shots. And so they'll need some other players probably to step up, kind of like Millard North with Hunter Salas and St. Thomas. You just got to have those extra guys to knock down shots for you.
Yeah, with a lot of teams, you can say when they bring in their bench players and make some quick substitutions, you can really jump on them and get a good attack going, maybe generate some momentum. You can't do that against Bellevue West. They've got some really, really good bench guys. Evan Inselman, Jaden Jackson, who's a freshman, Jackson Suvi, they can all make threes. So when Bellevue West makes those changes, gives their starters a bit of a rest, they don't miss a beat.
So last night I talked with Chucky Hepburn a little bit about their game plan for this season and for this tournament specifically. And they really wanted to make sure that they just ended off on a high note. I mean, this team is just filled with talent all across the board. And Chucky really wanted to make sure that this team is strong now and strong for the future, even after he's gone.
I mean, yeah, Chucky Hepburn is just one of those team guys. I know he's looking forward to doing that at Wisconsin. And he's so good at spreading the ball around. He's not only good at scoring, but he can spread the ball around really well. And I think that's what makes Chucky Hepburn maybe one of the best players in Nebraska.
Yeah, it absolutely goes beyond the numbers for Chucky. We know about the points, the rebounds, the assists, the steals, but aside from that, he just looks like he's so under control for the entire game, so nonchalant when he's bringing it up. He thinks the game so well. Pressure does absolutely nothing to him. He can take over games down the stretch. Great reason why he's one of the best players in Nebraska.
All right, so let's get into that interview with Chucky Hepburn, point guard from Bellevue West. So I am here with Chucky Hepburn, Bellevue West point guard. I mean, Chucky, it's a great pleasure to have you here tonight.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. So, looking at this season, you're going to the state tournament for the 4th time here at Bellevue West. What can you say about your experience here your last 4 years?
Right. The experience I've had is definitely one to remember, especially last year, not having fans to be able to come, not having limited fans, I should say, and still winning a state championship, especially being now 16 with like 3 minutes left to go. So in the past 2 years, it didn't go our way, but we had great years both years. So doing this a 4th time is definitely an amazing feeling.
All right, so for you, the biggest thing that I've seen from this Bell West team the entire season, especially for a lot of other guys, is just this team, this team over me mentality overall. You lead you lead Class A with assists per game. This entire team is just built around being able to pass it around guys and be able to give it off quick in a lot of moments. How do you feel that has helped this team just really overcome or just push off its strengths?
Yeah, for sure. That's just Bellevue West basketball. Coach Woodard has always coached players that is we over me. So to be able to go and play with players that have love for the game and love for the teammates and play hard all the time, I really love playing for players like that.
So I guess kind of going with that, especially for you, you're headed to Wisconsin next year to play D1 basketball. How does that type of program, feed off of that, we versus me type of mentality?
Can you repeat that again? You're kind of breaking up.
Yeah, you're all good. So, I guess with that, you're going to Wisconsin this upcoming fall, for basketball and everything. How do you feel Wisconsin and your decision to go there, I guess, push through that idea, that mentality of we versus me?
Yeah, right. After the game yesterday, Coach Gar was kind of like upset, and he was sticking up for his players a little bit. So that kind of helps a lot, knowing that not even their players are to play together, but the coaches help, and they're definitely one of the players that have good connections with him.
All right, so coming off a state championship win, you're going to this season, been one of those dominant teams. We've seen this Bell West team, a little bit of Millard North and Creighton Prep really be the teams to beat throughout this entire Class A season.
what do you guys have to do, or what do you personally feel is the reason that you guys don't want to be taking home the title this year?
Right. The way we play against Miller North the second time at Miller North, I think we just got to play like that all the time. The whole 4 quarters. That's Bellevue West basketball. Just pushing the pace. When the team scores, we go right back at them. And no matter, we've got to play through adversity. They Miller North made some plays down the stretch for in the third quarter, I think. But we came back. We fought through adversity. And we were still able to keep our heads up, and we were still able to keep that lead and push that lead.
So kind of looking with that idea of adversity, I mean, just about a year ago is when really everything was just starting to shut down, especially in Nebraska with, the Class A basketball tournament, not as many fans. And it's, somewhat of the same here, a little bit more opened up than it was last year. But, I mean, looking at this overall, I mean, this past year for your team, I mean, there's been so much adversity for so many teams. There's been, schools out there, different states that aren't playing basketball right now. What does it mean to be able to, have another state tournament down at Pinnacle Bank?
Yeah, it's a feeling. I wish the state tournament would be held at somewhere like a CHI, but it's a great thing to be able to go down and compete in Lincoln, and be able to go compete with one of the top talents in the state, Creighton Prep, Miller North, Lincoln Pius, and all these other teams. They're really good teams. So to be able to go do that one last time for my senior year, it's really amazing feeling.
So kind of with that, I mean, this is, being your senior season, being your last chance to finally get that, extra glory. Is there anything that you want to prove? Is there anything you want to push these last final games?
I just want to make my teammates better. I want to be able to go out and win a state championship with these two other seniors, Greg Brown and Frank Fiddler, one more time. These guys I've been playing with forever. So to be able to go out and compete with them one last time, it's just, I just can't believe it's over.
So what do you feel these last 4 years? So final question here, what do you feel, overall this team might need to maybe push forward more or maybe improve upon even in the state tournament?
Can you repeat that? I couldn't hear you a little bit.
Yeah, you're all good. So I guess going for these final games in the state tournament, is there anything you feel this team needs to work on or needs to, push more than anything else?
Oh, yeah, right. This last week of practice, we've been just probably practicing the tempo on defense. Our defense was kind of a little slacking the past couple of weeks. Like we stared at our man a few times, or a lot of times in the games, and Kings have found back cuts for wide open layups. So, I think our practice has definitely pushed, and we've definitely gotten better on defense. And if we could translate that defense from practice to the game, I think it would be just fine.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Chucky. Once again, Chucky Hepburn, point guard out of Bellevue West, looking for another state title.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'll end it there. Yeah.
So once again, looking at Chucky Hepburn, I mean, what a season he's had. 4-year varsity player for this Bellevue West team. I mean, looking at this guy overall, it really just talks about this idea of that we versus me type of team that Bellevue West has overall. Of course, Hepburn with 8.3 assists per game. That's the highest in the state. I mean, he's been a team player all around. He's able to work well in the lanes. He's able to hit open threes when he needs to. And the guys around the perimeter as well, give it off to Fiddler, give it off to other guys. He's been such a presence for this Bellevue West team these last 4 years. I mean, it's just such a big reason why Wisconsin wanted him so much.
Well, yeah, you talk about Millard North, and you might look at Millard North and say they have the more talent, but the thing I like about Bellevue West is that we versus me thing that you talk about. Like, they're so unselfish. They just want to win, and those are the kind of guys you want, Wisconsin wanting Chucky Hepburn, and that's the reason he's such a good player. He wants to win, and he'll do anything to get a win.
Yeah, nobody makes better passes than Bellevue West does. Nobody in the state. There's no doubt about it. They can set up guys for dunks like William Kyle. They can set up open threes for Doetzler, Fiddler, even Chucky Hepburn. You talk about what he can do, and most people are thinking, yeah, he leads in assists, leads in steals, but he's not that great of a scorer, but he can turn up the heat when he needs to. I remember when Bellevue West came to Creighton Prep back on January 30th, looked like they were dead in the water, down by 11 early in the fourth quarter, and Chucky made 4 threes in a row, finished with 32 points in that game. So he's a guy that can do it all. One of the toughest matchups in Class A without a doubt.
And I mean, talking about that Wisconsin presence, I mean, Wisconsin overall has been built as a team that, of course, that we versus me mentality. You want to win. You never really see a guy out of that team that's really just a huge star above everybody else. That team works so well with each other. I think that's why Chucky's just going to fit so well with that Wisconsin program. So looking at the Lincoln East here, I mean, Carter Glenn's really the guy to watch here. I mean, he's been somewhat like Isaac Trout, someone at Grand Island, to where he's been taking over for this Lincoln East team. He's been such a big presence for these Spartans teams. I know you talked to him earlier with Carter Glenn. Well, let's get into that interview with Carter.
All right, I am now joined by Carter Glenn of Lincoln East, getting ready for the state tournament. Carter, just, Sunday now, a couple days away from the state tournament. How are you feeling?
I'm excited. I mean, I haven't been was in the state my freshman year. I suited up. We had a super good team back then. We fell short a couple of sophomore and junior year, but super pumped. I mean, we gotta have fans, and so not having fans till halfway through the season was kind of a bummer, but I'm excited, looking forward to it.
Yeah, for sure. So talking about Monday in the district final, you guys were able to pull off the overtime upset against Lincoln Pius. So just, what was the keys for you guys to pull out that win, and how did it feel to get that win on Monday?
It felt really good. I mean, getting them once, it's definitely not easy to beat a team twice. So we played super good. We played hard. I mean, I think we are super sore after the next day. I mean, we didn't practice the next day, and kids are still super sore on Wednesday. I mean, it was a super intense game. I just think our defense was what kept us in it, and we had big shots, and I think everyone stepped up and played a big game. So it was super exciting.
So those games between you and Pius have been close every time you guys have played so far this year. So, I mean, just what do they do really well that makes those games close, and why do you think those games are always so
I mean, yeah, the first time we played them, I was out because I was in quarantine. We only lost by 4, I think it was, but yeah. I think they do a super good job of having a high defensive intensity. I mean, they're super lengthy. They got shooters. They got bigs. Both the Hoibergs are super good players and can both score and give the ball to people. But I think we just kept our composure both times we won. I mean, that's what's huge, keeping our confidence and hitting shots. And I mean, every game we played them, someone else stepped up. So that's super good going into districts and in the state too.
So this game, along with a couple others, I know Westside lost, Central lost. So when did you find out about some of the other upsets, and what was your reaction just to the crazy night in Class A?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing was, I mean, we obviously won, so we knew we had a ticket to state, but so we were trying to figure out if Pius would still make it, because I mean, having a team they beat twice, still making it to state, that'd be kind of cool. I mean, we're 2 blocks away from each other, so. But I didn't really hear about all the other teams until later that night, because we had a team dinner and stuff, so I wasn't on my phone much. But I saw Millard South had won, so that's why we got the 7 seed, which was quite shocking to all of us. But
yeah,
I heard they're playing super good, so that's good for them. And Millard West, and I heard West Side went down, but I don't think it really affects us, because I know we already knew who we were going to play, so we were just more focused on us instead of other teams.
So you had another big game with 16 points, and of course, throughout the year you've been your team's leading scorer. So just what has been the key to success for you? Was it something you did over the off season, or just what's working for you this year?
I think our team chemistry is what's allowed me to score the most points. To be leading scorer, but like I said, every game it's someone else stepped up big. I mean, Joe Marfisi against Pius had 15 points, I think 10 in the second half, and I think he had a huge 3 to go up by 3 with a minute left. So I just think, like I said, our team chemistry is just off the charts, I think, since the past couple of years. And I mean, we all like each other. We all hang out all the time. So I just think little things like that are what's got us to score the ball quite a bit this season.
So now, sitting here Sunday, a couple days before the state tournament, you've had since Monday. Just what have preparations been like so far for state, and just what's the overall feel of the team right now?
Yeah, I think we're feeling excited. That's what our coach has been saying. I mean, even just sit on the bench in state tournaments, you're never gonna forget it. So, but practice has been going good. We got slow preparation. We just started putting in Bell West stuff slow throughout the week. So that's been going good. I think we're ready to handle the defensive pressure. That's what the main key has been taken away from practices. Don't let their pressure get to you.
Yeah, so now you guys go in matching up against Bellevue West, of course, one of the best teams, if not the best in the state. So just what do they do so well? I know you guys played them once earlier. Like, what do they do so well, and what do you think you guys are going to have to do to kind of slow them down and play the kind of game you guys want to play?
Yeah, they play super well. I mean, they got their press is super good, and they got their offensive movement super good with the back cuts and everything. So that's what we've been working on defensively. And I just think that they also got a bunch of people who can score the basketball, and they take pride in their defense. So that's something that stood out to me the first time we played them. And I mean, just work the things that you got to work on, like offensive movement or handling the pressure. It's just little things like that that I think no matter how good a team is, if you have confidence in yourself like that.
Appreciate you hopping on here with me, and I wish you the best of luck on Tuesday.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Carter.
Yep. So, of course, when you think of Lincoln East, you got to think about Carter Glenn, of course, averaging 19 points per game. But I think the big key in this one is Lincoln East will need someone else to step up, whether it's Trevor Henriksen, Oliver Edwards, Joe Marfisi. They just need a solid number 2 in this game, and it's going to be tough because we've seen these guys for Lincoln East just be inconsistent throughout the year, being a solid number 2 for the Spartans. But, we know that Carter Glenn is probably going to be well defended, and so they just need to have that solid second option.
Yeah, that supporting cast is going to be key, as you said. You hit the nail right on the head. A bunch of those guys, aside from Carter Glenn, none of them are over 10 points per game. They're all somewhere between 5 and 9. So it's just a question of whether or not they can have something like a 14, 15-point game or a dud game of 3 or 4 points. Glenn's a great player, but Bellevue West has some of the best defenders in the state on their side. And another concern for Lincoln East, rebounds. They only average 24 per game. Bellevue West is 3rd in Class A with 30.8. So the Thunderbirds certainly have an advantage there. They're great at getting offensive boards with William Kyle III. They're big man at 6'7" on the inside.
Yeah, so I think with that, the height differential is really big between these two teams. Bellevue West, you see Fiddler up there in the paint every day, as well as William Kyle. It's hard to be able to look up to those guys and be able to get rebounds off those guys, be able to get stuff off the glass. But I think if there's anybody that's going to step up for this Lincoln East team, it's going to be Joe Marfisi. He's done really well this season in being able to push forward that supporting cast with Carter Glenn. He's 30% from downtown. He's been able to work pretty well with this team overall when they need to, and it really comes down once again to that style of tempo that Lincoln East wants to do. You see a lot of the Lincoln teams that they really want to work slow. They really want to work that half-court offense and be able to find open shots. I think if Marfisi can really get hot, this team has an opportunity to make this somewhat interesting. But, Bell West is just such a dominant team throughout this season. They're able to take down Lincoln East earlier this season with ease. 84-54 win. And I think for this Lincoln East team, if they want to make this one interesting, they want to be somewhat of a Cinderella story up against Bellevue West. They need big nights from Joe Marfisi. They need a huge night from Carter Glenn. And maybe see some other guys like Oliver Edwards get in there as well.
Well, yeah, they're going to need a good supporting cast to take down this Bellevue West team. They're going to need guys to step up, make shots. And I think it's a big mismatch here for Lincoln East. I think Bellevue West definitely has the advantage, and Lincoln East is going to need to play a perfect game to take down the Thunderbirds.
Yeah, Lincoln East, a couple of those guys. Braden McPhail, he's a solid three-point shooter, 36%. Spartans are going to desperately need three-point shots because Bellevue West with their shooters, they're going to make plenty on the other end. And then Joe Marfisi, as you said, not only is he going to be needed to step up, he's on a hot streak as well. 26 total points in the 2 district games last weekend. Last 3 games, he's 6 of 11 from downtown. In his last 8 games, 15 for 17 from the free throw line. So he's been playing much better as of late. Going to have to continue today for the Spartans.
So looking at the 8:15 nightcap, Creighton Prep going up against Papio South. Papio South, another team who's been somewhat flaky this season. Really, both Papio teams have somewhat been like this season. But Papio South able to take down Central in a huge upset. I don't think anybody saw that, especially how Papio South controlled that entire game. Just throughout, Omaha Central didn't quite look like their normal team. They really played to a high tempo. They really played to their own pace. But Papio South was just able to start off strong, able to force missed shots from guys on Omaha Central like Johnson, just different guys around there. They never really quite felt comfortable. And I think Papio South is going to need to do that up against Creighton Prep today.
Papio South, kind of like Millard South, they've been playing their best ball at the end of the season, of course, knocking off Central. That was a huge upset. But, I really like what Creighton Prep is doing this year. I mean, they've got so much talent on that team. You know, it's not just one guy. It's multiple guys who are over 9 points per game. I know talking to Luke Jungers, he mentioned that and how, you know, everybody's unselfish. They've been playing together for years, and that's why they're so good. And, you know, we've seen them compete with Bellevue West. We've seen them take down Millard North. This Creighton Prep team is someone to be scared of if you're Bellevue West or Millard North.
Yeah, and this is going to be a fantastic matchup. Definitely the one I'm most excited for. Looking at Papillion Vista South, on that 7-game win streak without Denier Dempsey, and they've had so many guys step up, especially on the inside. Graham Kasut, Daniel Brocale, they've been excellent at rebounding. Jackson Trout, he's been a bench guy for most of the year, but ever since Dempsey went down, he's averaging 7 per game, points per game that is, and 6.6 rebounds per game. But on the other side for Creighton Prep, man, what a year they've had. They've proven that they can hang with the big dogs. Some people still aren't giving them the respect they deserve. They don't care. They're going to go out there, they're going to play a great team game, and they're going to put up a lot of points and play really good defense as well. They're one of the best defending teams in the state.
Yeah, I mean, talking about Luke Jungers as well, if there's any guy that's really, you know, the main force for this Creighton Prep team, if there's any force for this Creighton Prep team, like we see with Chucky Hepburn over at Bellevue West, like we see Hunter Salas over at Millard North, it's got to be Luke Jungers. I mean, he does such a great job in the paint offensively and defensively, and he allows himself to get open shots or be able to kick it out to other guys. He's not a selfish guy. He gives it off to a lot of open shots. He wants the best shot available, and it's not his. He does not care. Another guy to look at for this Creighton Prep team, Justin City. I mean, goodness gracious. A guy that I think is easily the most underrated guy in the state of Nebraska. I mean, Justin City, you know, started off a little bit slow to first game, but then blew it open in his next 3 games to really start off the season, and he's just been rolling from there. A big Metro Holiday tournament, a big district tournament, and I think he's going to be a really guy to see, especially quickly. He's a really fast guy. He's able to work in lanes. He's able to find open shots when he needs to, and I think he will be a big factor in this game.
Well, yeah, when you talk about Creighton Prep, they just have talent from top to bottom. Their whole starting 5 is just so dominant and so good. They work so well together. They're very well coached, and that's why I think they're one of those better teams in Class A, you know, right up there with Millard North and Bellevue West, and I expect them to put on a show here tonight.
Yeah, it's amazing. With Creighton Prep, you can't really pick out that one guy to just spotlight and say, oh, he's the best player on the team. Luke Jungers, yeah, he leads the team with 12.4 points per game. He's been hot lately with 14 or more points in 8 of his last 10, and he's top 15 in Class A for both 3-point percentage and free throw percentage. But he didn't score a single point in the district semifinal last Saturday against Omaha Bryan. Does that spell disaster for Prep? Absolutely not, because they've got such a great supporting cast. J. Wiley has stepped up recently, 8 or more points in 8 consecutive games. He's proven to be a great drive to the basket. And then Justin City, as you said, he's been doing it all year. His offense has been nice. He can shoot the 3-point ball well, but his defense, man, his steals, he can poke the ball away. Creighton Prep is one of the best teams in Class A at turning defense into offense and getting easy fast break points the other way.
So looking at the district semifinal, I mean, talking with you, Tyler, I know you know a lot more about this Creighton Prep team overall, working with them throughout this entire season. So looking at that Omaha Bryan game, you know, easily something I know talking with you, it was a game that was a little bit interesting for the team. They didn't quite seem fully forced. They didn't quite seem fully hot really up until the third quarter. Was there anything in that game, do you feel, weakness-wise, that Papio South might be able to take advantage of?
Yeah, Prep just needs to make sure that they don't underestimate their opponent. If Papio South can jump on Prep early on and not let them set the tone of the game, that's what Bryan was able to do. They got off to a 4-0 lead. Maybe it was even 6-0. I don't exactly remember, but Creighton Prep was not able to get the start they wanted. They didn't score for the first few minutes, and Bryan was able to control the game early on. Prep was able to close it out and finish in the end with a 63-50 victory. But Papio South, if they can take some three-pointers and make them, they're one of the best teams in the class at moving the ball around on the offensive end, getting quick passes, finding open looks, knocking down the threes. So if they can do that and let the game go to their tempo rather than Prep's tempo, which has been absolutely dominant this year, the Titans are going to have a good game.
Yes, and I think with that Creighton Prep team overall, I mean, the biggest advantage for that team is the way they finish ball games. I mean, going up against Westside right before the Metro Holiday tournament, down by 16, able to come back and win that one in a convincing fashion the next game, able to beat them once a well up against Westside. A team that's really been strong overall in the first half, but has really struggled late in the second quarter and early third quarter. But I think that's a big thing for this Creighton Prep team, especially up against that Millard North game as well. I mean, they close out so well for this team. They work well with those last 2-minute drills. Somewhat has a basketball aspect of it, but this Creighton Prep team is so strong in the paint when they need to and is really clutch in those big moments.
Yeah, I was talking to Prep's coach Josh Lukey last Friday afternoon, after school, and he told me that what's different from this year's team about last year's team is those mental lapses. Because last year, Creighton Prep was a good team. They knocked off Omaha Central, knocked off runner-up Millard North, beat state champion Bellevue West in the Metro Holiday Tournament, but they were knocked out first round of the quarterfinal by Westside. And Coach Lukey said their problem was mental lapses. They could get kind of caught and have some mental struggles that could cost them a game or two, games that they needed to win. Junior Jays have not had that problem at all this year. They've beaten the teams that they've needed to beat. They've made great comebacks. They haven't been faltered when they're down late in games. We saw that Millard North game, that Westside game as you referenced. And then even when they're in a close game against a seemingly inferior opponent, they don't lose those games. They hold it together. Even when things aren't going their way, they keep their minds right, and they pull it out and win the game. They're so great at finishing games and just staying right under pressure.
Just going back to Luke Jungers a little bit, I mean, what a season he has had. Of course, this team, like we said earlier, has really been known as a team that isn't quite, a one-man show, but if it's going to be anybody, it's going to be Luke Jungers, especially here tonight up against Papio South. I know, John, you talked to him a little bit. I think Luke Jungers overall is going to be a guy we're going to see a lot, especially in this first round. If they keep moving, I think he's going to be a guy that is a make or break for this Creighton Prep team. If they really want to make a run and really want to show that they can win this state tournament, they beat Millard North. They had some really good games up against Bellevue West, but again, I think Luke Jungers is going to be the main man to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I think he's just been so good all year, especially in the paint. He's not just good in the paint, he's also good at distributing the ball, getting it out, three-point land. I just think he's overall, if he has a good state tournament and they can still get those other guys involved, it's going to be hard to stop Creighton Prep.
Yeah, one of the things with Luke Jungers that makes him such a difficult matchup is his versatility. He can score on the inside. He's had a couple double-doubles this year. He can shoot the three-point ball from the outside. He's picked that up as well last 9 games or so. He's been really hot from beyond the arc. And then his mid-range jumper, that's something he's worked on a ton this year. He gets in the gym before anybody else, leaves the gym well after anybody else does. He's the hardest work on the team without a doubt, an absolute gym rat, and he's reaped the benefits this year with his versatility.
All right, so let's get to that interview with Luke Jungers.
All right, I am now joined by Luke Jungers, junior from Creighton Prep here, talking about state basketball. Luke, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Looking forward to getting to next week. So let's talk about it. You guys were able to take care of business there against Elkhorn South on Monday. So just how does it feel to be back in state, and how are you feeling about the team right now?
I'm feeling good right now. It seems like we're coming up. We're hitting our peak at the right time. That's always important, especially this year with COVID and everything's kind of a little mixed up. So I think we're in a good spot right now.
So, game was on Monday. Now you've had this entire week, and of course, state coming up now on Tuesday. Just what have preparations been like so far, preparing for Papio South?
Well, right now we're just trying to get as many shots up as we can. Just trying to stay, keep our rhythm and getting up and down, just solidifying a few things and getting ready to play on Tuesday.
So, talking about some of the top teams in Class A, you see everyone talking about how Bell West and Millard North are the favorites, but you've beaten Millard North, you took Bell West to overtime, so you guys are you're right there with those top teams, but you still see all the local media outlets just talking about them. So have you and the team, do you guys embrace kind of flying under the radar kind of in that aspect, or do you think you guys deserve to be talked about with those two top teams?
I definitely say we embrace it, and we just use it as fuel, and just try to make a point every game and come out and prove to everyone that we are up there with those two and that we can beat them.
So you've had a really great season this year for Prep, leading your team in scoring. And so just what do you think has been the key to success for you this year?
Well, I've worked on a lot of things over the break, and quarantine helped me, I think, a lot because I got to work out, lift, get a lot stronger, put on about 15 pounds. And I think that's helped me a lot. And then just skill development and being more versatile, being able to score on all 3 levels, I think really helps me because you're a threat from everywhere. And it's kind of hard to stop when you can score from the 3-point line, inside, and then mid-range.
So, talking about some of your teammates, you guys do a really good job sharing the ball. It's not just, one player getting all the buckets or anything like that. So just what can you say about your teammates this year and how they've been?
Well, I think one thing that helps us a lot is we've played together for 3 years. When I played with them on JV, it was the same way. Everyone contributed a lot. We've never had a guy that's averaged 20 points, but we all average around 10. And pretty much every game, we got at least 4 guys in double figures. And I think that really just helps us. And we're very unselfish.
So you guys, of course, now move on to play Papio South. You played them a little earlier in the season. What do they do really well, and what do you think you guys are going to have to do to get that win?
They shoot the ball really well, and I think just defensively we need to just try to mix it up a little bit. Just don't let them get into a good rhythm, and just try to slow them down as much as we can.
So I mentioned, you did play them earlier. I believe you guys beat them by 12. So just what changes are you expecting to see from them this time, and how are you guys going to adapt to it?
Well, they don't have Benair Dempsey anymore, so I think they're going to have a little bit different matchups. So I think we need to try to exploit the matchups and get to the rim a little bit more and try to force the issue and try to get them in foul trouble and just be very aggressive.
So, of course, I mean, it's probably got to be pretty cool for you just getting to play like down there in Pinnacle Bank Arena in the state tournament. So just what are you most excited for as you get to go down there next week?
I'm excited to play in front of that many fans because last year when we were at state, we only had immediate family. So being able to play in front of a few thousand this year I think it was going to be a good experience, especially for all the juniors on our team and the seniors because they didn't get it last year, and for all the juniors so they know what it's like for when we're back next year.
Yeah, perfect. And then last question I got for you, just, a lot of good teams in the state tournament this year. You got Bell West, Miller North, you guys, and I think just from top to bottom, there's a lot of talent in the tournament this year. So just what do you think as a team you guys are going to have to do to be able to get that end goal and that state title?
I think just consistency and just finding a way to win every game. And it's not always going to be the same way every game. So I think we just need to be able to adapt quickly. And since we play three games in a week, I think that's a little different than anyone's ever done other than in the state tournament or in the Metro tournament. So I think just being able to win each game and by any means necessary is going to be a big thing.
All right, perfect. That's all I got for you, Luke. I'd really like to thank you for joining me here, and I wish you the best of luck starting next Tuesday.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, Luke Jungers and this Creighton prep team really ready to make a run here in the state tournament. A lot of depth. It's going to be hard to stop. But now, Tyler, looking over at Papio South, I mean, you got to talk about Daniel Brocail when you're talking about Papio South.
Yeah, absolutely. You talk to Daniel Brocail and Jackson Trout, and quite frankly, those are the two most appropriate guys to talk to right now because Brocail, team leader in points, 17.7 a game. That's 11th in Class A. Last 6 games with Denair Dempsey out and with somebody needed to step up, 22.8 points per game for Daniel Brocail. He's been fantastic. 2 games with over 30 points. And then Jackson Trout, the other guy you talked to, I mentioned the numbers earlier. He's taken a bigger role with Dempsey out. 7 points per game, 6.6 rebounds per game since Dempsey went down back at the end of January. So a couple of these Titans, Graham Kasuda as well, I didn't mention him. They have been excellent with Dempsey's absence.
Yeah, both those two guys have just been huge for this Papio South team. Continue to find open holes, continue to find open lanes to be able to get good shots off. Let's talk with Jackson as well as this one here.
All right, I am now joined by junior Daniel Brocail and senior Jackson Trout from Papio South. Guys, Friday before the state tournament, how you guys doing?
Yeah, feeling good, feeling ready.
Yeah, definitely, same.
That's good to hear. So first off, I'll talk about Monday. Wow, what a win for you guys, knocking off Central in the district final there. How did that one feel for you guys?
It felt amazing, especially being a junior and winning for my senior class and getting them to state for their last year of high school basketball. It felt really good, for sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. Coach had a great plan for us, and we just went out and executed, and we just made plays when we had to make plays.
Yep.
Daniel, you, of course, had a pretty big night in that one, scoring 20 points. So just what was the key to success for you in that game? I mean, you've been scoring a lot all year. So just what's been your key to success?
My key to success is really, my teammates helped me get open a lot sure, I create a little bit for myself, like driving to the hoop, getting the free throw line, but my teammates really do help me get open and get open shots. They set really good screens. I'm able to come off, get good shots, and we pass the ball around really well. And doing that allows me to get good shots and allows my other teammates to get good shots as well.
Yeah, for sure. So you guys have played Central twice before then, and both of those games were extremely close. So, as someone looking at the outside, they might not have thought that you guys could pull it off, but I'm sure you guys went in with the confidence that, like, we can definitely take these guys down on Monday.
Oh, for sure. For sure. We lost by 1 point the first time we played them, which was heartbreaking at their place. And we went back to their place the second time and we lost in overtime. And the third time we were like, okay, we came so close the first 2 times. We can definitely get it the third time. We went in so confidently. And I believe that's why we came out with the victory after the end of the night. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, Jackson, especially for you being a senior, just what does it mean for you to get to play in the state tournament here in your senior year?
It feels amazing. Like, I suited up last year when we got to play, but I didn't get in the game. I was a bench warmer last year. So this year, getting to start in the state tournament, it's so surreal. Just like the feeling of when the buzzer went off on Monday, it was one of the best feelings I've ever felt in my life. Yeah, for sure. It was a very big win for you guys. So now moving on, talking about state, what have preparations so far been like? You've had since Monday now looking at Creighton prep. So just what have preparations been like so far for you guys?
So I'd say we played them earlier in the year, and as they played bad and we played bad, to be honest. We had very low scoring first halves. So we were kind of relating and like looking back, like the last time we played them, and we're like kind of going off of how we played against them and like trying to like morph into a better game plan to be able to beat them the second time. Because the first time we played really bad and we let them score about 26 in the third quarter, I believe, or fourth quarter, and it was just bad. So we're trying to take what our mistakes from the last game and then try to turn them over and not make those mistakes when we play them at the state tournament next week. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, you go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, coaches just put great practice plan together, and our scout team always busts their butts for us every single day. They give us great looks every day.
Definitely.
Well, so yeah, now you guys do play Creighton prep, and like you guys mentioned, it wasn't any of yours best games. So just what do you think you guys have to do differently this time to take prep down?
Ooh. I definitely think if we've been moving the ball really well in the past 6-7 games. We're on a 7-game win streak right now, and we've been just kicking the ball around, getting open shots. Like our coach likes to say our shots instead of like me shots. So it's moving the ball around, getting wide open shots. We've been really moving the ball well, getting it into him, and he's been able to find the open shooters. In my opinion, one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the state. We have some of the best shooters, in my opinion. So just getting that ball moving and making open shots. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just got to keep moving the ball, getting good rhythm shots that everybody wants the guy to take, and just working on the defensive end. And just big thing is winning on the glass.
Yeah.
Find a way to win on the glass, we'll be successful more times than not.
And Prep's a really good rebounding team. So if we can be plus in the boards over them, it'll be a game changer for sure. And they're a really good pack defense team. So we just need to be able to get in the paint and be able to kick it out for threes or be able to draw some fouls and get to the free throw line for sure.
Yeah. So you mentioned you guys you guys got a great team, and I wish you guys the best of luck there on Tuesday against Creighton Prep. I know I'll be up in the booth calling your guys' game. So I wish you guys the best of luck.
Thank you so much,
very
man.
Much.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you guys for hopping on.
Yep.
Yeah,
of course. Thank you. See you.
Daniel Brocale, obviously such a big part of this Titan offense, especially with Denier Dempsey missing the past games for the Papio South Titans. But now, Tyler, what do you think Papio South is going to have to do to keep up with this Creighton Prep team?
Well, one of the things they've been emphasizing recently, especially after that Central game, is we versus me three-pointers. You don't want guys just taking three-pointers just to try and get points for themselves or just because they think it's a good look. They want to swing the ball around, move the ball around. It's been their strength all season long. Get those open looks, especially early, and try and bury Prep and get them out of their rhythm. Junior Jays, last time these two teams met, got Papio South out of their rhythm early. That was a big reason why the Junior Jays were able to win by 12.
So now let's wrap this up here with our 4 final games here and our predictions. So let's start off with Millard North going against Millard South. John, what are you seeing in this one?
I really think Millard South can make this close. I really think that Millard South has a really solid game plan. And I think some guys are going to step up. But ultimately, I just think that talent is too much for Millard South to handle. And I could see Millard North pulling away in the fourth quarter in this one and getting the win.
Yeah, just like you said, Millard South could make it interesting, but they definitely have a well-defined ceiling on their offensive production and just how much they can keep up with Millard North. Meanwhile, Millard North, you never know. They could score 113 on Millard South for all we care. So I think it's going to be the Mustangs, but Millard South could keep it interesting, but you're just going to have that feeling throughout the game that Millard North's in control and they're going to pull it out.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you guys there. I mean, to start it off, I think Millard South will start off strong in the first quarter. I think Millard North is going to kind of do what they've done to a lot of teams this season, to where not quite underestimate, but start off a little slow up against a team like this. They feel like they have this in the bag somewhat to start off that first quarter. I think the second quarter will be just an entire blowout for Millard North, and it'll just go on from there. It's going to be really hard to see Millard South being any kind of close in this game past the first quarter. I think Millard North will be able to pull out easily and really move on to that second round to face off either Lincoln Pius or Millard West. So looking at that game there, I mean, John and I will be calling that one. It's going to be a really good game back and forth. Can Millard West continue their strong last few games?
I really think they can, especially with getting Myersig back. I just think with their offense at full health, I think they just have more shooters, and more guys that can get buckets than Pius does. I think this could be one of the closest games of the day, if not the closest. But I really think that with those shooters, with Ryan Larson, Dom Hum, Conway, and Myersig in the paint, I just think they're going to be hard to stop. And I'll take Millard West in a close one.
Yeah, same here. Millard West, I think, will win this game. It's going to be close, as you said. The all-around offensive production, the balanced production, then getting Myersig back is going to be a big key. And then top 10 experience. I mentioned earlier, Pius X has only seen about 3 or 4 top 10 opponents this year, with most of them being in Omaha. Millard West has had all kinds of big game experience, and they're coming off a game against Westside that really felt like a state tournament game environment in that close victory. So Millard West, I think, will get it done, even if it's close.
Yeah, I'm going to take Millard West there as well, but I think this one's going to be a blowout. I think Millard West is going to be able to open this up in the third quarter. They're going to start off hot in that third quarter. Myersig and Conway are going to have really big nights. I'm saying double-digit points, probably double-digit rebounds as well, because Lincoln Pius is such a comparatively short team. I don't think we talked about that as much, with Lincoln Pius just really kind of comparatively struggling up against taller teams when it comes to rebound proficiency. And I think Millard West is going to be able to take advantage of that pretty easily. I think this game will be, a 60, 70-point win for Millard West.
Yeah, should be a really good one.
So looking at these next few games, I mean, we're going off with Bellevue West going up against Lincoln East. I mean, Bellevue West has been so dominant this season. Lincoln East somewhat struggling below 500. Can Lincoln East make this one any kind of interesting?
I really think they don't, especially with their main guy being Carter Glenn. I just think they don't have enough of a supporting cast to help out that Lincoln East team. And Bellevue West, one of the best defensive teams, and they're just so good on offense. They have so many ways to hurt you. I think Bellevue West blows the doors open, gets a big win here in the quarterfinals.
Yeah, to answer your question, Lincoln East is not going to keep this thing close. Bellevue West is going to win by at least 20, maybe even 30 or 35. They've just got so many more talented players. Lincoln East only has Carter Glenn, and if that supporting cast can't step up like we've been talking about, it's going to get ugly real fast. Thunderbirds win a big one.
Yeah, I'm going to go with you there as well. I think this was going to be a running clock early in that third quarter. I mean, Bellevue West is just such a defined team overall. We talk about that Millard North versus Bell West type of thing, to where it's that talent at Millard North versus that team mentality at Bell West. I think that team mentality at Bell West just can continue to prevail, especially if it gets a team that really just relies on Carter Glenn entirely for their points. There's not much of a supporting cast. We talked about that all throughout the show today. I think Lincoln East is going to be somewhat surprised at how big the Thunderbirds get in front of this one. I mean, Bellevue West is just going to blow them out and send them home. So going up against this nightcap, I mean, Creighton Prep going up against Papio South. Papio South, somewhat of a weird season this far, a story to their season so far. Of course, a really struggling February or early January, then a really hot February. Can they make anything up against this Creighton Prep team?
I think they could keep it interesting. I just don't see them being able to take down Creighton Prep. Creighton Prep just been so good all year. They've had a lot of top 10 experience, and they've taken down teams like Millard North. And, I think Broquel is going to knock down some big shots early. I could see it being really close at halftime, but in that second half, I think Creighton Prep is just going to come out, kind of pull away a little bit, and I see Creighton Prep probably getting a double-digit win in this one.
Yeah, the start to this game is definitely going to be the key to this one. You can go one of two ways. Either Creighton Prep comes out firing right away with some three-pointers from guys like Jungers, City, Buckley, Wiley, and they get off to a nice start and hold that lead. Or Papio South could potentially make some threes early on. But even if they do, we've seen time and time again this year, Creighton Prep has no problem going down early, going down even in the second half. They can come right back. I think A.J. Rollins late is going to be a key, regardless of whether Prep is ahead or behind. He does some amazing work in the paint, getting offensive rebounds, getting and one opportunities. I think the Junior Jays win by about 10 to 15.
Yeah, I think looking at that, I think the main guy we're going to see tonight, other than Luke Jungers, I think we're going to see a really good effort from Brendan Buckley. I think the way he puts himself offensively is a way that I think Papio South can't quite defend. He works really well around the perimeter. He's able to drive in when he needs to and finish it off to different guys like Jungers or City or Wiley. I think this is going to be a team matchup. I think we're going to see a lot of guys with double-digit points, Wiley with 8, Jungers with 10, something like that, kind of working back and forth. I think this is going to be a really team win for Creighton Prep. I think they'll blow it open really in the fourth quarter. I don't think it'll be a blowout, but I think it'll be a convincing win for Creighton Prep.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great day of basketball. We have so many great games, I think, going down, and Class A is just so talented from top to bottom, and I just can't wait to get these games underway.
Yeah, it's going to be one heck of a day. 4 games with you guys, couldn't have asked for anything more.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun day at Class A basketball. That's going to finish it up here on Nebraska High School Game Day. All 3 of us will be calling these 4 games tonight. Ross Sternstrom is going to be with the crew as well. You guys can watch that on the NFHS Network. Going to be a great day of action and more semifinal action on Friday. Thank you so much, guys. Have a wonderful day of basketball.